So we're here to talk about the fourth language mentioned in Larry Chapman's book, Acts of Service. Now, this is not this is not my love language nor Tom's. We speak another language, and we've talked about those. We talk about one of his next month too. But I'm not sure you can survive with acts of service. There's a verse in Galatians 5:13 that says, "In love, serve one another." So how do we love without serving each other?
Well, since Barb has broken her ankle, I have learned a new language, I guess, for me. My love language is meaningful touch or physical touch, and we'll talk about that next time. But I've learned to speak all the languages, and I would assume that you have come to that conclusion yourself, that in a love relationship between husband and wife, you have to not only speak their language, but sometimes you have to speak a common language, and it might be one that's not necessarily your primary love language. I've come to realize that love determines the language you speak. And by that I mean, for example, the last few months, I have had to wash dishes, clean the floors, wash windows, help Barb do a lot of things here in the house that she cannot do. And I've done that because I love her. I normally don't do those things. Those are not my normal acts of service. Mine are mostly outside, mowing grass and things like that. But because I love her, I've had to do those things, or at least I've done that as an expression of my love for her.
And he has never once complained, which is a good thing.
That's a miracle, isn't it?
So it's been almost surreal how he has served me, and we've kind of mentioned this before, but when I think of all of the love language, 5, I just think all of them speak love, and acts of service, whether it's my language or not, says to him, "I love you." When I make biscuits 2 or 3 times a week, well, not that many.
No, once a week maybe.
So, but anything I do to make it for him special says I love you, and it's an act of service. So I have a hard time differentiating the love languages. And the longer you live together, I think this happens. We've been together 60 years speaking love languages. So, but the other night when he said love determines the language, it just really spoke to me that's true. No matter what the language, whatever you're going through, whatever issue, whatever trouble, right? Anything, love determines the language. So another thing I want to talk about is this is in the insert on the page 92. Requests give direction to love, but demands stop the flow. We can't demand that somebody loves us, and we can't even demand that they love us the way we want to. It's a mutual understanding of love and giving and take. So I just think this speaks of being kind. I've rarely asked Tom to do something for me without saying please. And when he does it, I always say thank you. And I think that's something we don't always do with each other in a marriage relationship, in the home. And then our children pick this up. Please and thank you. I love it to hear when I hear little children say that. So about 6 years ago, when we first moved into this community, we were in a shop. And we'd been there a couple of times. And one day somebody says, "Have you all recently married?" And we laughed, and because it was 54 years at that point, I think. And we said, "Why would you say that? Why would you ask that?" And they said, "You are just so kind to each other." So kindness goes a long way, and I think especially when we talk about acts of service, doing something, what I do for Tom, what he does for me, it just speaks volumes, especially when it's done in kindness.
Well, certainly, given my personality, if Barb demanded something from me, I would probably resist that. But if she says, "Would you please do this or that for me?" Yeah, I would do that and not even give it a second thought. So, how we approach one another in our language is very important. I think you realize some of you have a cultural mixed marriage, and so you've had to learn another language. And maybe your common language in your marriage is English. It may not be, it may be German, it may be something else. But when you love someone, you want to learn their language and speak their language. And so I think it's very important that love is the foundation for all the languages we speak. And acts of service is certainly, it's a language without words. And we can all speak that one, I think. Whether you understand verbal words, an act of kindness can be understood by anyone. So it's a good way to practice I love you.
And I have asked that, the example of Jesus when he washed the disciples' feet, and then he said, "Go and do likewise." That was a tremendous service for him to give to those he loved, or the disciples. And in marriage, it's just such a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift to serve one another.
I forget the exact person, but it was in ministry. I think it was Colonel, the founder of the Salvation Army. He sent his disciples out on the street to share the love of Christ, and he said, "I want you to go and share the love of Christ and use words if necessary." Obviously, he was saying, use acts of service, and people will understand that, and they will understand that you care. So I think that's the heart of what we're trying to say today in this video, is that when we show one another through acts of service that we love each other, that is a language that everyone can understand and everyone can speak.
Now I want to challenge you this week that you, even if it's not your love language, that you deliberately think of some way you can serve your wife or your husband, and and talk about it and see how that speaks to them, whether it's their language or not. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye till next time.